Okay, so David Furlong is a British clairvoyant. When he goes to a cemetery, he can talk to the spirits there. Like he went to one in Edinburgh in Scotland, and they told him they were still stuck in the cemetery because they were waiting for the second coming. They were firm in their belief that there was going to be an apocalypse and Jesus would come and save them. So they were waiting for that. And so he wrote this book, Healing Your Ancestral Patterns. And this is my great grandfather, who was a doctor. His wife was a Women's Christian Temperance Union person who would go into a restaurant and ask if they had liquor, and they would say, "Yes, ma'am." And she would walk out and leave. And this is my grandfather, Walter. And this is my mother, Barbara, and her sister, Doris. So what David says is that there's a family spirit. We have family karma, we have ethnic and national karma, and there's kind of an energy field that that influences us from our ancestors. And Rupert Sheldrake talks about this as morphic fields, an information system that contains collective memories that influence us. Other books that Furlong mentions are John Bradshaw, who's an American who does a lot of healing inner child of alcoholics work, and he writes about family secrets. Ken McAll writes about healing the family tree. So physicist Roger Penrose explained in The Emperor's New Mind that physics equations are just as effective in the past as the present and the future. It goes symmetrically. Okay, so the idea is we need to heal our family patterns. So what I found in my family patterns, he suggests you go back 14 generations. So that's to your great grandparents. And the patterns that I found are the husband is emotionally not there, or who dies, excuse me. And so like Edith Perry was left widowed with 6 children when her husband Pacific Nectar Stamps died. So that's a lot. Her children, including my grandfather, had to quit school. He quit school at 14, had to go to work, and so that was a hardship. So anyway, my family pattern on both sides is the mother is the rock, the nurturer. I mean, that's kind of stereotypical, but it's even more exaggerated. Like my father's mother name was Bessie Hudson, and her husband was a traveling salesman or something, but he was never around. And so she raised 3 children essentially on her own. I don't think they divorced, but he just wasn't there. So the pattern that I have to heal is husband, man not being supportive. My father was a good provider. He was there, but he wasn't especially nurturant. And he would say to my mother things like, "Your mother is a peasant. She has big bones." Kind of stupid things to say. So he was a good provider. He did everything that you should do on the surface, but emotionally he wasn't that supportive. And my brother, his wife would say that he was in love with his cycling and his electronic. He was electronics engineer and being in his shop, So she felt he gave more attention to his bike and his shop than her. So typical pattern. So that's something that I would have to heal. And so the way that Furlong says to do it is you make a list of your 14 ancestors back to your great grandparents. Did your great grandparents? Did you either of you have a chance to do that?
I didn't get to my great grandparents. I got to my grandparents.
Okay, and what patterns did you see?
Actually, I can get to my great grandparents. Unfaithful men, workaholics, and then emotionally unavailable mothers.
Oh,
So I had a lot of kids just being left to like fend for themselves, and men who were just gone anytime, the going got tough. They would just sort of disappear, and they're into like their toys and their trips, and just sort of like let the women deal with the kids.
so how did the kids get nurtured if they didn't get it from either parent?
Uh, there's a lot of broken souls in our family, I think, because of that. Just a lot of like me and my sister are the only children in my entire side of my dad's family. Like nobody else had kids. Now I have two aunts, two uncles, neither one of them have any kids. So I think they were just like, it was awful being a kid in this family, and I'm not gonna, I don't, it's like we were never really given a great example of what good parenting looks like and what a good marriage looks like.
And how did you learn that? Because you're a good parent, good wife.
I think, as I always just said, I've said this forever, is that, sometimes the best thing a parent can teach you is what not to do. So I do like the opposite of what they do, which I don't know if it's good, but I just know it's like, I definitely know I don't want to do that. Like I married a guy, which actually I thought I married a guy who was opposite of my dad, but I ended up marrying a guy who's exactly like my mom. So now it's like the whole like alcoholic, needing me to take care of him. And he's better. He's not as bad. But like I remember thinking I was so proud of myself because I made the decision with my head and not my heart. Cause I was just like, he comes from this family with his parents have been married for, 40 years, and his grandparents have been married for 70 years. So I was just like, he knows marriage. So I'm gonna like marry him. And then, of course, you learn all there's all kinds of things going on there. But yeah, so I think I tried to like do everything opposite. Because I
Interesting.
remember thinking like as a really young kid, just being like, my parents are a mess. This is ridiculous. Like they won't talk to each other. We were like my sister and I were always stuck in the middle, between the two of them because they would fight. And so it was just like immature.
But that's hopeful that somehow you healed it or are healing it.
Do you know, it was interesting doing this because it was like, obviously, so Ryan actually just celebrated a year of not
Sobriety.
drinking. Yeah. So, I mean, he's doing so good. He really, it was a source of a lot of his issues and him understanding why he was drinking, like understanding what was going on with his family patterns. Like he did this whole, healing thing on his own, and that was huge for him. And so he's back to being a really like positive energy in our house again.
Right.
That's good.
Um,
Great.
Jen, from what you know, what have you seen? Do you see patterns on mother's side, dad's side that go back in time?
Definitely women who are people pleasers, who, like my grandmother, for example, she wanted to travel and my grandfather did not. So they went on like literally one trip and to Greece or something. That was like the big trip of her life. So kind of putting her own needs aside and to please him or others. My mother did something similar to that, was kind of a people pleaser. Later on in life, she got better at not doing that and being assertive and asserting herself. But so I feel like that's something I've broken that kind of chain of events of people pleasing and being really just true and genuine with myself. And so yeah, I feel strong about that.
So what the technique that Furlong outlawed that I think is really good is you make an index card for each of the 14. Just put their name. So Walter, Nestor, Stamps. And find out as much information as you can. And make a chart where you show birth and death dates, marriages, birth order, whatever you can find. And then you take one card a day and heal it. And you can use divination to pick which card to work on or which card you're drawn to. And David Furlong says you could use tarot cards, medicine cards, angel cards, standard playing cards, I Ching, runes, pendulum, automatic writing, that kind of thing. And with automatic writing, you ask a question like, is there a genetic pattern that creates some form of blockage for me? Let me see it as a color. And then, or you ask, what's the quality of the relationship between my maternal grandparents? And you let your hand answer. And then he says you work with, to do the healing work, you think of your higher self, you call in like a flame within you. And then when you're thinking about the ancestor that you're healing, you pay attention to your kinesthetics, how you feel in the body, your emotional feelings, what you hear, what you see. And so that you put the chart in front of you, connect to your higher self. And let's just do that. So do one of you have an ancestor that you just feel like needs particular healing, or it kind of pops in your head that we could work on?
We can do mine.
Who?
So Mary Wall Lang was my
B-
great grandmother.
B-A-L-L?
Wall, Wall, and then Lang, Lang. So her husband married her for her money. He never really loved her. And so when they first got married, they had my grandpa Pete, they left him with a nanny for the first 5 years, and they traveled all around, spending all of her inheritance. And then when they moved, they were living there from Utah at the time. And so they moved to Beverly Hills in Southern California. And he had this like 40-foot sailboat that he lived on. And she would live, in the house raising, they had another boy when they moved home. But then she ended up dying of like stomach cancer, and he never like moved back into the house or, was there to take care of her. He hired the nanny that took care of the kids to come back and take care of her, like when she was, old and dying at the end. Like it was just, no love.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And she
Um,
was like a super strong woman. Like she was crazy. Like she drove ambulances in World War II and like went to did like a camel ride in the pyramids. Like she and her sister, she had 5 sisters, and they would just like go do these like awesome girls trips. And just like, but then the husbands were just jerks, and they would use them. And
So was there just like family wealth when you say like her inheritance?
yeah, so her dad, Enos A. Wall, was he owned a copper mine in Utah, and then he was just kind of like a busybody. Like he just had all these different businesses. He was sort of involved in politics. Like he was just he just had a lot going on and he made a lot of money. And so, yeah, he had 5 daughters, and so he had to marry them all off. He had no sons, and they had, I mean, back then I think they had like 10 kids, and 5 of them just never made it, and or they like made it to the age of 2. Um, but then one of the other sisters was killed by her husband, and then he left and like took all the jewelry and everything. And yeah, so
Wow.
the girls were kind of, you know, they were set up well, but it was also sort of a dangerous thing for them. They didn't get these. One of them was a lesbian. So I think she was in the happiest relationship out of all of them, which, back then to be a lesbian was like a big deal. So,
Well, okay, let's work with
but
Mary.
yeah, so Mary Wall Lang.
Okay, so what we do is we connect with our higher self, each of us, and you can think of it as a little flame in your heart guiding you, giving you insights, and let it spread through your whole field. And then ask for healing energy, insights. You can think of it as Christ consciousness, Buddha consciousness, Mohammed consciousness, Kuan Yin consciousness, whatever you want. Call in higher guidance, healing energy, and imagine that there's a scale. Furlong uses a scale image a lot, like a Libra scale, Lady Justice, and put a scale in front of Mary Wall Lang, who we asked to come and sit in front of us. And how do you see the scale? Is it even and balanced?
No, mine's not.
Mine tips way down to her right. Really big tip. Yeah. Did you get that too, Jen? Yeah. Okay. So what we do is we use those modalities of our kinesthetic, auditory, visual, feeling to ask what Mary Wall Lang needs to get balanced. So so we know she didn't feel loved, probably. So let's just imagine that we can talk to her and ask Mary Wall Lang, what do you need from us to help balance deficiencies you felt in that life that have created an energy field that influenced Corinne? And it's obvious she needs love. Anything else that you got, either of you?
I got that she was really happy that she'd passed down a sense of, like strong, independent women, but also like it came at the cost of never feeling like really loved and comforted and cared for and nurtured, and like that warm fuzzy hug. Like we've just sort of always been like okay without that, as long as we get all the business taken care of, kind of thing. And I see that, like I definitely feel like I have that where I'm, when things get really emotional, I just like focus on the business part of things. I'm just trying to.
I heard or saw or felt like she wanted to be pampered. Like I saw her on like one of those like almost like those fainting chairs, but it felt like it was in like Greece or somewhere, and these men were like fanning her and feeding her grapes, like to feel like a goddess is kind of what
Right, to feel like super feminine, and yeah.
mhm.
I don't think she
Okay.
ever had that.
let's all three of us picture Mary being pampered by someone who loves her, not just hired pamperers, but someone who really loves her. She's soaking it in, huh?
Mhm.
Ooh. It's like she's not used to it. She doesn't know how
Yeah,
to take
it's
it
almost like
in.
when she smiles, it feels really like uncomfortable. Like she's just like so not used to that.
Oh, this is really important. So that's something really we want to change in the ancestral field of information, to being able to give and accept love.
Is deserving of it. And
And Furlong says it's good to work with color. So what color do you think represents genuine love? Pampering love.
I keep seeing gold. I've seen a lot of gold. I don't know if that means
Let's do
love.
gold with some pink in it.
Okay. It was funny. I was getting like a leopard print. I was like, oh, okay. I'm like, the gold totally works.
And he said it's also useful to use symbols. He says examples are sun disk, cross with a circle, chalice, caduceus, six-pointed star, or lotus. But let's give her a heart,
Mm-hmm.
or hearts, many hearts with genuine love, not fake love, genuine love. And he said we can run that through our head, through our feet, under our feet, through our heart, out our hands, so we can generate that feeling of sincere love and send it to her. So we run it through our bodies and out our hands to Mary Wall Lang. Woo, feels good.
I'm also getting a ring, like like a ring as a symbol of commitment and devotion, and the good and the bad. Like having that from feels
What
nice.
about, they have those, I think I've seen rings where they have like hands connected to each other,
Mm-hmm.
you know, the in the ring.
Yeah. So, but it's interesting. So she does have a ring. So because they were in Utah, one of the things, who is the like big Mormon Joseph Smith, or who's that guy?
Yeah.
No, Brigham Young. So Brigham Young, apparently, he had like 14 wives and he was having money trouble. And so he was selling off a lot of their like beautiful jewelry. So my grandfather bought one of his rings. So it's like Anne the 14th or whatever's ring. And so it's been passed down. So Mary had it, and then she gave it to my grandma Sharon, and then grandma Sharon gave it to Aunt Nancy, and Aunt Nancy gave it to me and my sister. So we switch back and forth every year. So one of us gets to wear it at a time.
Do you have
But
it now?
I don't. Katie has it. I know.
Interesting.
It's beautiful. Yeah. So it has,
What
it's
kind of
been like
stone
this
is it?
whole like, it's a miner's cut. So it's like a round one. It's like this really old fashioned, um they could tell like it was built, or it was crafted, I guess, in the 1800s.
It's a diamond?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah, we had it because Ryan's family's in the jewelry business, so they did a whole appraisal on it, and the dad said, yeah, this is, it's very old. It's very cool because they don't cut diamonds like that anymore.
Well, let's take that ring and infuse it with genuine love and give it back to her. So thank you for sharing it, and we give it back to you so you can have it infused with real love. Oh, she likes that.
Mhm.
And now look at the scale over Mary Ball Lang. How does it look?
Looks better.
Way
Looks
better.
It
Yeah.
looks better. It just looks like a little off. So just a tiny bit, right? So
Mhm.
let's just put you know, Kuan Yin is bodhisattva of compassion and that genuine love. So we can put Kuan Yin energy balancing the scale over Mary. Or if she'd rather have Mary, Mother of Jesus, that's fine. I think she'd rather have Kuan Yin. And then feel and direct the sense of I deserve love, I receive love, I give love, I'm comfortable with love, I know love, and let it come down through the generations to Corinne and Corinne's kids, Corinne's husband. And then we imagine lifting Mary Wall Lang up into the sunlight with her new experience of genuine, sincere appreciation and love. And then any connection that's not in the highest good, we disconnect. And then let's do one more little simple exercise for us. And that is ask your higher self to scan your body for any negative genetic pattern and see it as a color. So look and see if there's anything that you've inherited from mother or father side or both that's kind of coded in your DNA or energy field that's not in your highest good. And you don't necessarily have to know what it is. You can see it as a color. If you don't see it, make it up. And then call on your guides to create a golden sieve or filter on the top of your head. And let it gently, thoroughly move through your body, cleaning out the color of the ancestral pattern that is time to clear. Woo-wee. And do that 3 times. And again, you don't have to know what it is, just that it's time to clear it and it's not in your highest good. And then we need to replace what we've moved out. So ask to see the color of your inner soul essence. So if you had an inner soul essence, what would it be? And then put that close to your heart. Send it through your whole body to replace the ancestral energy that you've moved out. So we know it's really important to replace that which you remove. So we've at least 3 times cleared out the ancestral pattern, and we replace it with our soul essence color. And let's do today's date, November 8th, 2022, November 8th, 2022. And then look and see if there's any doors, openings, or windows where that ancestral energy got in, and seal them. So again, look for any doors, openings, windows where that old ancestral energy got in. We don't want to bring it in. Seal those off. And we can all create a gold sun over our heads. Just one more time, fill it with gold. Fill it with highest good in the present time, which is November 8th, 2022, earth plane. Fill it with amusement. Fill it with permission to keep what's useful from our ancestors and to transmute that which is limiting or destructive. Whatever else you want to put in the sun, let it come in through your head, flow down through your neck, across your shoulders, down your arms, fills your torso and all that's in it, fills your abdominal cavity and all that's in it, goes down through your thighs, knees, calves, and feet. And when you're ready, wiggle your nose, wiggle your toes, yawn and stretch. And do either of you want to share what you cleared out from you?
Oh, wow.
Like, it was like plaque, like all over, like and it was in my veins. So it was like almost like I needed to go in and like scrape out all the veins so that the blood could flow. And so I think that's probably something to do with my heart, you know, and my ancestors' hearts always being kind of like closed off and kind of used to just like carry around a bunch of junk, you know, not really honored for what it's supposed to be, which is the free, happy love, you know, that I don't think a lot of the women got, or the men for that reason.
Yeah.
You know?
And then did you fill your veins in with a color?
I filled them in with the gold sun. I just did like, I scraped everything out and then it was just sort of like seeing it fill up all the veins.
I keep doing that. I think that's a good meditation. And you could ask them what color they need today,
Okay.
because the color may change. What, Jen, do you feel like sharing what came up for you?
I saw kind of like an area around my heart, like it was kind of like almost like a red color, or there was a lot of coronary artery disease in my family. So that was like what popped in my head, that literally the heart disease, and kind of maybe like kind of the broken heart syndrome or something, that um like being almost forgotten about, or not like loved, like giving love and not getting it back, something to do with that. And then also kind of in my like second chakra, bladder area, also that was an area that I felt like this not being I don't want to say good enough, but like having um more of a relationship, unsuccessful relationships or something to do with that. Just kind of fascinating because I've some things have been coming up for me that I've been working through. My own relationship has been triggering things for me. And it's kind of fascinating that this is some of it's similar. Yeah. And then the light I ended up bringing like white light. I just like laser beam through my crown into my whole body, just like zapped it all. That's what I experienced clearing it out. It was very powerful.
That's
Do
good.
you think the pattern of not being appreciated or really seen as a woman, is that multiple in your family?
I think so.
And what are the men doing? I mean, that they're not being attentive or whatever.
I think they're selfish, and like picking emotionally unavailable men, I think is a pattern, or that's my guess. Because when I was younger, that was definitely a theme in relationships that I chose emotionally unavailable. And I think that my parents' relationship was very, like, it wasn't deep. It was very surface layer. Like, they got along, they raised kids, they did all the things, like, but there wasn't like a deep connection of like really devoted, passionate love for one another. It was kind of like going through the motions. And I think that on my dad's side, that the relationship was like that too. It was just, it wasn't even a very well functioning relationship. They fought all the time. So I'm guessing that's kind of a pattern.
You know what I wonder, since we all have this similar pattern, if that's kind of universal, at least in the West, that we raise boys to be selfish and they don't know how to be in a open-hearted relationship. There's something about how we raise boys that they don't know. Well, we tell them big boys don't cry, big boys are strong, big boys beat people up, big boys don't talk about their feelings, that's weak. So it's no wonder they don't know how to be caring, demonstrative, loving people. Any thoughts about that?
I agree with that. And as a society, we've told women that, you don't even get to own property, you don't get to vote, you don't get to, it's like just until really, really recently. I was reading a book on a Carl Sagan book on the witch trials, and it was just like mind blowing how ridiculous that situation got and how long it went on and how recently it was still happening. I was just like, how did this like humans are so smart and we are so blind and cruel at the same time, but it's like women always seem to kind of get the shaft and we always sort of get to take the blame and we're the scapegoat and we're just, we're strong and we survive and we, endure. But our history has been, not great.
And I've read about cultures in Africa where, especially a woman who's alone and has property, they say, "Oh, she's a witch," and they take away her property. So
Yeah,
the witchcraft stuff is still going on.
it's
Well,
crazy.
and I wonder if that's led to like women becoming, embracing the masculine parts of themselves to a point where now women are like, well, I don't need men. I'm self-sufficient. You hear about women going and just like getting artificially inseminating, having a child on her own just because it's just easier that way almost. And maybe, there's also an increase in like more lesbians. I don't know if that's a statistic or not, but I just wonder if that's a byproduct of having to be strong and embrace the masculine more than maybe one would if you had a partner, a masculine partner who was very emotionally there, provided security, stability, all the things.
I'm working on this book about Gen Z change makers, and a characteristic of those people 25 and younger, and I think it's not just the people I'm talking with, is they don't value marriage. They don't, it's not important to them. They don't really want to do it. They don't want to settle down and live happily ever after. It doesn't seem, just seems like some weird old fashioned myth or something.
Yeah.
I can see that though.
Yeah, but that's kind of sad then, that it's not the marriage that's the key. It's having a committed, caring, loving, foundational relationship that you trust each other. Yeah.
There's so many benefits to that. I mean, it's a priceless existence to feel completely loved and cherished by somebody. That is something that is so special and worth all the crap that comes with being, being in a relationship. It's a lot of hard work. It's difficult. It's ups and downs. It's looking at yourself and like, really, okay, God, there's some really crappy parts to me, and I, like fessing up to it and like growing and learning and like digging deep sometimes. But love is worth all of that. It really is. Like,
Yeah, it is.
Okay.